I saw a couple patients this morning, and now I have about a half an hour with no patients in between. And instead of going through the explanation of benefits with insurance and stuff, I decided, you know what? I just need a break. And I think this is important for all of us to sometimes take a break. Remember when you were in school and you did a couple of classes and then you had a recess for 10 minutes, and then you did a couple classes, then you had lunch, then you did a couple classes and you had a recess. We should organize our lives like that, like children. When children are happy, we're not happy. Why don't we do what children do? But here's the deal. I'm going for a walk, and I want to discuss with you what is the best exercise for seniors. I'm going to make the argument that there is no one best exercise. What I'm going to say is this. I understand that, let's talk about blood pressure first. What's the best exercise for blood pressure? The answer is isometrics. The research has shown that isometric exercise is the best for blood pressure. So whether you'd use a hand squeezer, a plank, a wall sit, all those are called isometric exercises, and they work by constricting the blood vessels temporarily, and then there's a relaxation phase. And if you practice this regularly, you can lower your blood pressure. Even better than cardiovascular exercise or weight training or high intensity. Great, so are all that we have to do are isometrics? Well, maybe. For a person that's really out of shape and really hates exercise, that has high blood pressure, that's what they're trying to solve, that's fine, you could do that, but it doesn't leave you very physically fit. Now, some people will argue that the best exercise for seniors is weight training. And the reason why is because there's a condition that we all go through, men and women, called sarcopenia, which means our muscles are shrinking in size and strength. And this leads us to become frail. In addition to that, there's osteoporosis, which is our bones become decayed and there's less bone density. And this all happens as we age, unless we work at it. And so some people believe that the best exercise for seniors would be weight training. And there's good arguments for that. However, my experience with treating a lot of seniors is most of them don't like to exercise. They don't want to join a gym. It's not fun for them. Some people are financially strapped and cannot afford a gym. I mean, gyms are expensive. And then there's the issue of you got to drive to the gym, everybody's on the machines, then people sweat on the machines. There's a million reasons people do not like gyms. All right, well, it's difficult to get people to do that, but there's ways to do things at home. But I have found that people, unless you love lifting weights, you're not going to do it. Then you have the high intensity interval people. This is where you hear a lot of, Peter Attia and all these longevity doctors, Huberman, all talking about longevity. So they're not talking about blood pressure. They're talking about what does it take to live the longest. And these people will say that high intensity interval training is the best thing you could do to improve what's called VO2 max. And VO2 max, in simple terms, is the amount of oxygen your body can bring into the lungs and utilize. So a person can have large lungs, or a person can have smaller lungs but be more efficient. Ultimately, the best thing would be to have large lungs and very efficient. This is where you hear of people that are professional cyclists, long distance runners, cross-country skiers have the highest VO2 max, interestingly enough, like in Norway, stuff like that. From a cyclist perspective, there was a guy named Miguel Indurain. He was Spanish, and he won the Tour de France a bunch of times, and he was recorded as having like a 92. Then there was Greg LeMond, American cyclist, won the Tour de France, very high in the mid 80s as a VO2 Max. Now, how do you train VO2 Max? There's a number of ways, but the best way would be to do what are called 4x4s. And what this means is you go as hard as you humanly can for 4 minutes, like you're running away from a tiger. And it's a hard workout. Then what you do is you rest for 3 minutes. And you could do this on an exercise bike, running, you could do a rower, you could swim, whatever. But it has to be difficult. So 4 minutes, as hard as you can, 3 minutes rest, and then you do it again, repeat 4 times. That's where they come up with a 4x4. So 4 minutes, 4 times with 3-minute intervals. The problem I see with this is, because I treat a lot of seniors, I know that a lot of them, first of all, this is dangerous. Most of the people recommending this are, you know, athletes. But it's almost like they've never met a senior before. A lot of seniors are in poor physical condition, and they may have high blood pressure, high blood cholesterol, high triglycerides, yada, yada. And the issue really is high intensity interval training is bloody dangerous. I mean, you don't want to have someone who's never really worked out a day in their life suddenly at 70 years old doing 4x4s. So it's interesting academically, it's just not practical. The most practical thing is steady state cardiovascular exercise. Now, just like with vegetables used to be healthy. Now you can't even find anyone on the internet that says vegetables are healthy. Everybody's doing keto and carnivore and all that good stuff. Eggs used to be bad. Now suddenly eggs are good. Butter, bad. Butter now good. You know, water, good. Water used to be good. And now everybody's dry fasting. And they're not drinking any fluids. So, you know, the trends in healthcare, they always seem to change. But cardiovascular exercise is something that people are poo-pooing now. But I'm going to tell you, it's one of the easiest things for a senior to do. You do what I'm doing right now. You just put on your good shoes. And I'll tell you, the best shoes, Hoka's, Altras. I personally like Altras better as a running shoe. But right now, I'm in between patients, and I have my dress shoes on. And let me show you my dress shoes, okay? So these, they look like dress shoes, right? The thing I like about these, let me do this, is these are a brand called Lems. And the thing I like about them is, first of all, they're super comfortable. They do not have a heel rise. Some shoes will have about a 1/4 inch heel rise, and that puts all the pressure on the front. I don't like that. Some shoes have a toe lift like that. They're just built that way for looks, but that puts, again, a lot of pressure on the front. Also, these are flat shoes. There's no arch support or anything, so it helps strengthen your arch. And the last thing, and this is the most important, is it has a very wide toe box, okay? Most shoes are too thin for people, and they squeeze your toes together, and it's very, very uncomfortable. Now, here's the thing. I'm not really sponsored by this company at all. About a half a year ago, I contacted them, and I said, man, I just want to let you know, I really love your shoes, and if you would send me a pair of shoes, I'll make some cool videos for you. And so they did. So they're not paying me to say this. I contacted them. I love their shoes. For me personally, they're just the most comfortable dress style shoes. So I'll put a link down below. You could check them out. They're in America. They're in Colorado. So anyway, it's just the most practical exercise that gives you the most amount of benefit, I think, is just getting out and walking. And like I said, you don't have to make a big deal about it. You just put on some comfortable shoes, get out there, and just walk at whatever pace makes you happy. Now, let me show you something. Right now, I'm walking at a pretty good clip. But if I wanted to get a little more cardiovascular exercise, I would walk like this, a little bit faster, okay? but no one likes a sweaty chiropractor. So I'm gonna walk back to my office, and I think that, what is the best exercise? Problem is, how are we defining that? And I know it's confusing when you're on the internet trying to figure out, what do I do? Let's say you have high blood pressure, and they say, and I've done this on my channel, showed isometric exercises. I'll put a link at the end, like a box right here, so you can look at those exercises. But if you want to solve blood pressure, then do isometric exercises. But the problem is, the isometric exercises, they don't make you really fit. The ultimate goal is to be healthy so that you don't have high blood pressure, so that your triglycerides are normal, so that you can physically go up a flight of stairs and not be huffing and puffing and not be out of shape. That's the goal. It doesn't do you any good to do isometric exercises, lower your blood pressure, but you still have difficulty walking. And sure, we should lift things heavy and be able to, lift weights, but before you even lift weights, why not just be able to lift your own body weight, right? So that's my take on it. I don't know what your opinion is. Why don't you tell me in the comments section and let me know. All right, this was a perfect walk because I got some exercise. I feel good. It's not the sunniest day in the world, but I thought we paid taxes here in California to make sure that we get sun. They call it the sunshine tax. That's why our freaking taxes are so high, because of the weather. It doesn't seem that way today. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. And I am going to go back to work. So watch this video on the isometric exercise if you're having trouble with blood pressure, and get a good pair of shoes and go for it.